one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Lots in the audience today. Glad to see that. All the meeting to order.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda if there's no additions.
Addition to it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All carried. Minutes of April 17th.
Read through them, they look correct, motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Approve the claims.
I had 508, 510.43. And 4269.80 was the drainage.
I'll second those amounts.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. General public concerns. Somebody's up.
Go ahead.
You're up.
All right, just to let you know, got a complaint on some property in Humboldt County. A lot of I don't say trash, junk, scrapping, yep, in the yard. Working with the Department of Health, working with the DOT. Just working from there, so.
Also visited with, Dean called me the other night and I drove out there and took a couple of pictures. So I also called John Beatty upstairs and he sent us a letter, detailing how, what steps we should take. I don't know how many years ago, property was cleaned up by the county all the way, and it's right back to where it's at. Dial is a neighbor. I guess as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't want to have that. It's out on next to the, getting close to the, what do you call it?
Right away.
Right away. The state has signs out there, which it's going to pass their signs again. And, so the state's gonna be back down to either push it back inside their property, and there's stuff out on Dial's farm ground. So I guess John has give us direction and Dean's going to follow that up, and we're not gonna drop the ball on it, I guess. I was under the assumption that the stuff was being sold the last I had been told, and according to John, that hasn't happened for several years, so. Long story short, it's a flipping mess.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live beside that.
I have to look, but that may be also part of the zoning setback for this.
Perfect.
I'm not sure what you're referring to specifically, but it does refer in the zoning ordinance and junkyards. And I don't know the specifics right now, but I'd have to look at the specific of what it says there, so
Okay,
Yeah, that'd be good information to get us, Randy.
I'll get it to you as soon as I can.
thank you.
Sounds like it's gonna be a state county project, so.
Well. Like I said, I was under the assumption that I thought things were being sold and we were being told, or notified upstairs that, he was bringing receipts in, and then someone said, well, that hasn't happened for several years. So I guess from there, we have all left it alone. So it's time to move forward with it. That's my opinion. And I guess we need to make a motion to move the thing forward is with John and with Dean and just
No, just
Don't let-
duly noted. No,
don't let it sit.
We'll
No.
dig into it deeper.
All right.
on all avenues possible.
Yep. There's one course of action that I can do right now, but I gotta kind of wait for the Department of Health to give me a report and stuff, so.
All right.
We'll move forward with the other one, so.
All right.
And I'll be in touch with Dial, which needs to check things out out there, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right,
If you'd take care of that, we'd appreciate it.
we'll take care of it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I got one thing under general public concerns. Out on the high school blacktop. Not the field that's right adjacent to the Briarwood Apartments, but the next one over. He's worked his field and he's knocked every one of the warning signs. There's a cable or a phone line, all them orange placards that stands up there, every one of them is knocked over. And he's coming clear out in the ditch. We cleaned that field up to plant.
Which
direction,
Briarwood, west of it?
Brett west of it, going clear on out the whole field. He's knocked every one of the signs down. I think there's one standing because it's got a big steel post in behind it, but all them little plastic ones are laying out flat or in the ditch.
Does that kill us?
I'm not sure who it is. I just happened to be driving by there yesterday and noticed it and what the heck? He's taking the berm off the top, water will run right to the ditch, the whole length of the field. He's come clear out in the ditch farming, so. Just a warning to the farmers, stay out of the ditches, get back on your own property, out of the right of way.
Good morning.
Okay, any other general public concerns?
I think if we would go out and destroy that crop, they'd soon quit doing it. If we destroy this crop that's in the right of ways, they would cease doing that.
I don't know whether it's planted or not, but you can see where he's come up and took the berm off and cleared out into the ditch.
I know it's an endless battle, but believe me, as a farmer, you don't want to be wasting your money.
No, I know, I mean, we go out and do it and 2 years later, it's right back out where it was at.
Yeah.
Aside from us going out and driving steel posts every 500 feet. It's difficult now that most farmers have removed.
All the fences.
Yeah.
are down.
But if you, it's kind of a safety hazard because them placards are put out there for a warning that you got telephone or cable. I know cable runs down through there.
And if you know who the utility is, we need to reach out to them, that they can go back out.
Well, it's right on the sign.
Back in, there's like 4 different fiber.
There's a lot in that
Yeah.
ditch.
In that.
There,
south
there's a
ditch.
lot in the ditch, but all them orange placards are laying straight out or down in the ditch. So. Just a warning, stay out of the ditches. Moving on, Ben, you're up.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah, see you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Dan.
Dial.
Dan,
Yeah.
I've just got the one item on the agenda to set a date and time for a budget amendment for fiscal year 2023's budget. That's the budget right now. I mean, to adjust and add some money for construction that was completed this year. That was originally scheduled for last fiscal year. We ended up having to buy some more grass seed. Add a little bit of money to the tool line item. I don't have all the numbers exactly completed yet, but it's my goal before we get to the date of the hearing. I guess I need to set a date and time to.
What's
adjust
the,
my numbers.
protocol time frame?
Did that be
Or
published and-
20, I gotta publish it in the paper. And no less than 4 days, no more than 20, is usually what ours is. So what it is for budget 2, I assume.
I'm thinking it was 10 and 20, but
10 and 20.
So can you get it published in the paper this week?
Yeah, I'll get it in
Well-
the paper
at 10 o'clock,
by 10. So,
So that would put it out,
the 8th.
8 work.
8 works for me. If it works for
We
Trish.
give it 2 weeks.
Should work.
Does it?
Does that work?
Or doesn't it? Otherwise, we're gonna,
We can go to the 15th.
Oh, we could go to the
You're gonna
15th.
be here for the bridge letting
we
anyway.
have a
on the
bid letting for the
15th.
box culvert.
Okay.
I would make a motion that we set that, we already have 9 AM on the 15th for the bid letting for the box culvert.
Do a date 55.
How long is this? You wanna do it right before that?
That's fine. Yeah, 8:50.
14,
8:50,
that'd be 21 days.
That's
that's fine.
from date of being published. So we have to, is that from published date or is today?
From published date.
From published date.
Okay.
So if it goes in Thursday's paper, it should be good.
Yeah,
So the 15th will work.
So 8:50,
8:50, Monday, May 15th for the secondary roads. Budget amendment hearing. 8:50.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Contractors should be showing up for today or tomorrow to start moving trees down on Lone Tree. Plan is to do it under open traffic. We're gonna set up a couple offset barricades to slow traffic down. Just in the event that the contractor is dragging trees from one side to another, that they're not flying through, they're doing 55.
I wonder if you should put a sign up at the lower corner of that road work ahead.
We
And
could,
then maybe people might take the other way around rather than taking
yeah,
that.
yeah, we
road,
could
you
do
know,
that.
Cut down a lot of it.
Like I said, we're not physically closing the road because all of this work is technically supposed to be off of the road right away.
Yeah, but there will be some traffic cross and now
Yeah,
it might deter some of the people from going down that road.
Okay. Beyond that, we're busy hauling rock right now, trying to blade and shape roads.
Did they show up south of town for your track,
Track filling is done down on Gotch
Dutch Park Road?
They were supposed to be moving over to the clear blacktop day.
Good.
So the construction season is officially started.
It has officially started, yep.
When will it start warming up then? Do you have that on your mind?
So it's all done all weekend, so.
I'll bet it was cold. I was happy that soccer got canceled.
On Saturday, yeah. Yeah, the weather can warm up anytime. As far as construction, we're fielding a bunch of questions on the building here in town. I did issue an addendum that's over on Sandy's. You guys want to look at some of the questions that are getting asked to us. Yeah, we've got an addendum issued. I'm trying to meet with Mid-American this week to figure out how to get power to that building, because right now it's a single line drop off of our block building to that one. So they're either gonna have to put the transformer on the pole that's on the back side of the building, come down, or they'll set it as and go underground.
Yeah,
But that'll be their call on how they get power to us.
preferably underground.
Yes. Just give me a heads up.
All right. Perfect.
Okay. Anything for me? Other than high school blacktop, I'll go out and take a look at that right now.
All right.
I was putzing along beside it with my little tractor and you can see it all. I mean,
The guy's phone number too. It's doing what he needed.
okay, anything else for Ben? If not, moving on.
Honest now.
Clarity, clarity.
Yes, yeah, I talked to the dad or the grand. Last fall. So, Aaron trees out.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Randy, you're up.
You can see I got a few items. That I need to bring to you. The first one. This is a copy of the contract with Schneider Geospatial on the it's basically the agreement on the purchase and utilization of their, what we've called, I guess, the digital
processing and permit operation. This is a copy. I have the original that he sent me. These are just copies of that. And his explanation was that I would present this to you. This would be signed. The signed original would be sent back to him. They would then sign it and then send back to us a copy for our files. That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. Then also, he sent me, I asked him to just give me a little bit of a brief explanation of where we go from here. And he said that they would initially have probably a kickoff meeting with whoever we would want to have involved. We'd probably have to determine who that is, and they would basically give an explanation of the operation of that, and responsibilities and scheduling and that kind of thing. They probably would begin that 1st of July. And would probably want to have implementation by the 1st of January, if not sooner. It's going to take some training. Probably will start with some of the basic permits, but also he really stressed the fact, and we talked about this, that this could be county-wide for many departments, and he really stressed that, but he knows that may slowly roll out. But initially getting permits and that kind of thing that we can really utilize right away. So I'm pleased to, the fact that we can maybe get something by the 1st of the year, rolled over from what we're doing now. So also on here, we have a Board of Adjustments meeting on the 4th of May. This is on a building permit for a shed on a property out by West Fork Drive. And the property does not meet the bulk regulations for 1 acre and 100 feet frontage. And so the Board of Adjustments will be meeting and making a ruling on that. I mentioned that there was several people that we had on a list of, we didn't have any record of building permits. I talked with John Beatty, and he sent me a letter that I can include if somebody volunteers, or if I say you can volunteer a permit. He said, yes, I can contact them. He's written me a letter that's signed that, so if we do process that permit, I can send that letter with them with the confirmation. I usually send with them also that same explanation specifically stating for that parcel and what the actual permit is for. So I think we're covered, as we discussed. I think we're pretty well covered of whether or not we can even contact them. He said yes. He sent me that letter so that we can show that.
Good.
So I think that's good and taken care of. I will be placing in the newspaper and also probably radio public notices again, requiring permits and special exception uses, that type of thing. I think I'll probably do it maybe twice, maybe yet this month, and then maybe in May. Obviously, we want to reduce the number of those situations. So just letting you know on that. And if there's something that you would like me to include, that I can send what I have to you if you want, but I mean, it's
just putting it in there. I mean, you can't do this yet for the Snyder thing.
no, right,
But when this gets up and running,
right,
time frame wise,
right,
then I would include that this can be an online.
right, right.
So that would be, I think, also positive, and we've talked about that.
Yeah, well, yeah,
So, well, I know we're not there yet, but we're getting there, and
Right.
hopefully that will help with a lot of this.
I want to just try to, prevent not having them,
Right.
when we need them. And
Right,
we've talked about that every year,
yeah,
and
right.
it's just hard to,
do that, and then, when we get to this, hopefully that'll be another tool
yeah.
that folks can use.
Any other questions on that? I'll go to the next one. Comprehensive plan update. The comprehensive plan committee has has met again, and that is this sheet here. Okay. And basically, I gave you a rundown of what we've done and where we're at now. You can see that we established members of that committee. It was community people, the zoning and planning commission. And we really put out a lot of information and trying to get people involved. Initially, that started out pretty well, and it's diminished quite a bit. There was an explanation of the comprehensive plan development by Midas. There was a survey that was sent out. That survey was then also presented to focus groups. We had meetings with focus groups. Basically, they were designated to, it was either an afternoon or an evening meetings, and there were not many people there at all. And they had been contacted. I called them, I reminded them, so that's a problem. The survey results, I have the surveys. I mentioned it last week or last time I was here. I have the electronic copies. If you want a hard copy of those surveys, and they're quite interesting, I have them over here. If you don't want them, that's fine, but I can get them to you. I think it's interesting to see, what the information we're getting, and those things that are listed under number 5 are the basic categories that were covered by that survey. And so then the last time we met, we looked at and analyzed those to a certain extent and came up with what are some of the basic priorities underneath each of one of those categories. And so we're moving along slower than I'd hoped, but Austin Alexander at Midas, he got COVID, so we had to postpone one of the meetings. And so, probably we're looking at after planning season, sometime in June, having some type of meeting where we can get maybe, more people involved that were originally on the list and anybody else possibly, and maybe even the Board of Supervisors. But we need more people. The people that are there are very concerned that there's too few people for this important, decisions to be made. So Austin and I are going to get together and formulate some kind of plans on how we can get, now that we've got the survey, and then we're going to set priorities. As you can see on the back page, this is just some example goals and objectives that we can then move forward to. And hopefully, eventually, we can then start the process of the actual writing from those.
Just as a reminder, these haven't been updated in umpteen years,
Since 95.
1995.
so all of the information that would be put into it would be hopefully 20+ years of what we've seen and what we found that we haven't done and trying to improve. It isn't like we're doing this just because
No,
the
it's
teacher wants to
right.
bring some students in to make them spend extra time.
Exactly. We're looking at it as Midas and myself, and looking at it as this is kind of the thing that, affects everything, I mean, if you got a long-term goals and planning, it helps for the short-term things that come up.
Well, the
And-
7 years I've been on the board, that's the one thing we've talked about since day one was this plan
Yeah,
has never been updated. And if we don't do something, then we just kept kicking it
Yeah,
down
right.
the road. So we've made progress. We just need more input.
Right.
And if we can figure out a time a week that we can meet, I try to help. Sit in and listen.
In our discussion, we probably felt it would be best if we could do it in an evening
Yeah.
type of thing and we have tried to get people, from the different towns, from the businesses, individuals, farmers. I mean, we had a pretty good list of people, and
You need to keep at that.
so we're gonna have to come up with maybe something more of a, one-time shot, but when I find out more about that, I'll let you know. But our goal is to make it easier on you people. If you have a comprehensive plan sitting in front of you, and then somebody comes along and says, hey, what about this? You can say, well, let's look at the comprehensive plan and see how it fits in there, you don't have those, last minute things or things you have to deal with just on a haphazard basis. So, anyway, we hope to continue with that. Originally, it was kind of hoping that we'd be done by the end of the year. And so hopefully we can do that. The last thing on the items that I have, Dave Lee has agreed to another term on the Board of Adjustments. And so I need to present that to you for a vote of approval. And I'm sorry, I didn't get a hold of Dave Huntermark. His term is also up and needs to be approved for the Zoning and Planning Commission. So I don't know if I need to put that on another. I didn't have it on here. I didn't got to him. But he also has agreed
Oh, he has
to a
agreed.
second term. Yes.
I think we should have on.
I think we can put him on, yeah.
So you're willing to work with Dave another term?
I didn't say I
Okay.
was gonna be on the whole for 5 years.
You said Dave was going to be.
Okay.
I didn't even know him without his beard. Who's the new guy?
So would you, and David Huntermarks is he Board of Adjustment as well?
No.
No.
Just
Zoning and
Zoning
Planning
and
Commission,
planning.
yeah.
Well,
So if I
if we
take
can
the
do
motions.
that, I would make a motion for the approval of Dave Lee for another term on the Board of Adjustment and David Huntermark and another term of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I will second both those.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion.
Appreciate them.
Thank you.
Dave-
Tell
Dave-
tell
Dave,
David, thank you.
Yeah, well,
Probably better get that done right away because it's pretty tough to get people on these boards.
So are you full then
Or
on
keep them
both
on.
boards?
yes.
Your adjustment
Good.
board is full and. Good.
And I have the sheet that I've sent out to you before. I'll update it with this now. It shows their terms and their dates and all that stuff. So I'll send that out to
I
you.
wanna thank one of them sitting in the audience.
Mhm.
Billy's on the Board of.
Billy's on there now.
Okay,
Thank you too.
yeah.
Now he has two things to consider, which one, but more fun, being mayor or being on the Board of Adjustment. Two fun activities.
Yeah,
The only question I would have is, this is the original of that contract.
Yep.
Do I give that to,
I'm gonna sign it.
I'm guessing Dave would sign it for,
You want to get that moving along with them?
he said as soon as we get that signed, we send it back to him with our signature. He would sign it, send us back to that, and then he would contact me to get the ball rolling.
Well,
before
let's
we
move
go
it
from there.
along. I like the looks of it. It's
Yeah,
very
I-
Positive.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what we need.
There you go. Perfect.
Compared to-
It only took how many?
It took a while, didn't it? We had it like this, but.
Just type it.
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna be good for a lot of things.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Okay, Take care of the rest of it.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Randy. You got anything on there, Bill? Well, you got
He's at the very bottom.
Where's he at?
Discussion of rural recycling funds and it is.
Oh, okay.
well, we got a couple of minutes.
we had a
before.
couple
Hold
minutes.
tight a minute.
Okay.
Okay. What else?
We had another new guest step in. He might have something to say that,
I'm unemployed in Des Moines.
well,
I'm just going to supervisors meeting, trying to figure out what's going on.
All right,
Okay, 9 o'clock, public hearing for the county budget.
well,
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing then.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is open.
Okay. The first sheet is your certification of taxes and it gives your levy rate numbers. Last year, the general supplemental was 1.65. It's 1.67155 right now. So it has raised some. As you go back in your packet. And it has, I split out the service areas on the sheet. And kind of detail on what they were as far as your legal services, physical health. And different line items, and they calculate back to the budget fund balance worksheet and the notice of the hearing where I've highlighted it. It is up, obviously. However, what was it, 2 years ago? Excuse me. We did have a reduction in our budget of 2.88%. So while it is up now, it's not up as much as it could have been. And then the pie chart shows you which ones are receiving the most funding in there. And of course, it's secondary roads, and then 10, which is your non-program, such as your capital projects and any other budgetary things that are in and out, the receipt of outside funding and then use. And we do not have a service area 4 right at the moment because of the mental health is paid for by state.
The 20 mental health is nothing, right?
No. The biggest increases are due to obviously inflation, and Back the Blue has kind of a ripple effect on everybody's wages. We've also had increases in juvenile services and other services to residents. We've also had increased amounts for insurances due to everything else cost-wise going up. The general fund balance is going to be slightly lower in the ending fund balance. And this is just presumed on the estimated amount of this year. So it could be higher. So that will help up the general bottom line, but in order to not raise the tax levy substantially, we chose to keep it lower. And I've highlighted the 3 main ones, such as your general supplemental and rural services.
Is the school on here or am I not,
The school will be its own levy amount,
right?
and I did figure that out based on between the college and the local schools. Based on the requested funding amount last year is almost half of our total budget for the county. When we figure that in,
That'll be higher this year, right?
I'm sure. The city ones are just being finalized, so.
Well, I guess as far as the secondary roads, everything with the secondary roads has went through the roof.
Yes,
Between equipment, purchasing rock, that, what did it go up last year?
It's gone up, well, 10% and 10% too.
Yeah, 2 years in a
10, well,
row
almost 10% in the spring and 10% in the fall.
that we have no control over. It's either that or we don't put rock down. So one way, one hand doesn't wash the other.
If we lose the lost funds,
yeah,
we're gonna
and
be in trouble.
that's another one. The legislature wants to eliminate that, so. And then also put the restriction of 3.5 back. So our 410 would go back to 3.5. I don't know how they're. When they're cutting our replacement credits too. It makes it. Very difficult when they're taking but not giving back. We'll be using part of the American Rescue Plan monies this year. Beginning in fund balance was 1,369,000. And I don't know. But we'll spend on the campgrounds improvements, sure.
But that hasn't changed. We still only have certain things that we can use.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, it's kind of already allocated,
Right.
Yeah, there's a small portion of that was left that wasn't allocated.
right? Yep. I don't know, it's not very encouraging, honestly.
Did you receive any written
No. objections.
objection?
Anybody got any more questions?
And we did take out, instead of putting in the general. Basic paying like some of our community betterment stuff. We took it directly out of community betterment funding. So it doesn't affect the general balance. So then. We don't have to raise the levy rate that way.
Yeah.
Kind of moving stuff around to make it. Fit a little better. And that's all done within the code of your community betterment dollars and lost funds.
Well, if there's no more questions, I'd make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. We're back in general session.
Now we have to, yeah.
Approve the budget.
From these, we've gone through everything judiciously and make a motion that we approve the 23-24 county budget.
There's a motion. Do I have a second?
No, second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Spend nothing there. We'll put vice chair.
Is that why Sandy left today? Okay. 9:15 yet. Let's go down to discussion on rural recycling funds that are dispensed to the city. That's yours. You can sit there.
No, that's fine. I got some paper. We were doing some digging on this. And you see right here. They're passing out the money. And per capita per person, and I don't know how you. Come up with that, and nobody else, I called here 2-3 times,
Bruce.
and I guess back in 97 or something.
Yeah, it's like I say, nobody up here remembers because none of us were here.
But they didn't have Amazon and stuff back then, you know, and our cardboard is just,
A lot, isn't it?
yeah, oh, yeah, it's coming in like. And I wanted to bring this to the attention of the supervisors, you know. Some towns are getting quite a bit more per person. And I don't know how they originally, did you ever find the original ordinance?
I think Steve, looking in the house, found anything.
These were the original minutes. And agreements, but
There's a lot of different per capita, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you look at it that way, there's quite a range.
But yeah, and we're going, you know, it costs us just much to get rid of the cardboard and the recycling and haul it down there as it does Humboldt or any other town, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how you want to address this, or I don't know exactly how to state it, you know what I mean?
Well, I guess I have a question. Does each town have a recycling box? And how much recycling does, say, Odison with 40 people? I'm guessing most of that would probably be done by the elevator.
Probably, and you know, some of them have been and pick up their garbage
Right.
or speedy dump or and do their recycling or whatever. And
Well,
Does that mean
They got Bennett recycling right there, they just take it right over to them,
yeah, but they still gotta pay for it.
yeah, they still gotta pay for it, so.
It really by the
$10
numbers,
to-
it looks like they said, well, we'll allocate this much to Humboldt, this much to Dakota City, and the rest of the towns in the county get $400.
But do they get $400 if they're not recycling? Are all the towns?
We get
recycling?
$400.
Yes, I think
Now,
they all-
now the rest of the towns, I don't know. Yeah, that'd be your question for your, do you write them a check every quarter for $100? You said yes.
it's,
I guess nobody's come forward to question this before.
Probably not since 97.
There you go.
so I assume because of Humboldt's being so high is because of the like IV recycling center where other communities can also just.
But we have other people coming down all around us. All from all over bringing it in too,
Mhm.
from all
Well,
directions.
I hear from farmers that when they bring stuff to a recycling location and it's full, what are we supposed to do with it?
Take it to Dakota City.
Well, that's kind of what they
They
take it
empty
there,
theirs out
take it
once a
down to the
week.
south part of town where they have one down there.
Yeah,
And our recycling's setting full right now too. We gotta haul it. Can't haul it on a windy day, unload it out.
right.
Mhm.
Cause blows around town.
Yeah,
Trish, did you find any information from way
that's
back when?
how it was determined to,
Did it really explain anything, how they derived it, this way back when?
No.
Not,
they just took some arbitrary numbers.
so it's like they did take arbitrary
It
numbers.
does, because it has nothing to do with population.
Not really, and then, of course, if you wanna put it on a per capita, then you just figure how many people live in that town, but
Make it
that doesn't
easy.
really, they certainly didn't do it by capita.
No.
They did it per town and
But you know, back then, people weren't recycling.
No,
No, they weren't. Back then, you're maybe picking
was
up a
a-
little glass.
it was a thought.
There you
It
go.
was a
You know,
thought.
that's about the only thing that was recycled back then was glass in 97, maybe a little plastic, but not much.
Not much of anything. No, not much of
But, you know, times have changed.
I think the majority of the recycling now is cardboard.
It is.
Everybody's getting a box or
Seems
two
like
a
it.
day at home and.
Yeah, it's a lot of cardboard.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know.
well, all we can do is dig into it, look
Steve
and
Bennett.
see what we can come up with. I'm guessing.
What is the,
$17,600.
Deal with coal.
I can talk to Cole about it.
yeah, and where does this money come from? That's allocated to the towns for recycling.
Budgeted.
I know, but is it
It's levied. It's a tax on the people.
Tax.
tax that go, but does it come out of rural services?
I can't remember if it's
I don't know.
services.
I mean, obviously, we never seen this before.
No.
I didn't expect an answer today, but I'd like to bring it up to your attention and have you maybe look into.
Well, one thing about it, good, bad, or different, I mean, all of the small towns are getting the same amount. That's, I said it's not that it's a good thing.
Yeah, but that's, it looks to me like that's what they did. They just, gave
Yeah.
Humboldt the majority, probably because they had 2 grocery stores. Figured that's where a lot of cardboard comes from. But Dakota City's numbers up there close to the high.
Yeah, from,
And then Hardy, for some reason, they must really do a lot of recycling because they're really high. And Addison, and bless their souls, they're really doing well.
but they just put flat
I
numbers.
guarantee you,
Yeah.
we got more
Yeah.
recycling than
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, I know.
Let us check into this and find out where the money's coming from and how they figure
Maybe
it
a
out.
more fair way to disperse it.
Yeah.
So how much do you guys spend for recycling?
I'd have to get into Janet for that,
Okay.
but, it's, they load it on the garbage truck and they take it down to Fort Dodge.
This Fort Dodge does have a route truck that goes around to different businesses and picks it up and stuff. But they charge for that service, I know.
Yes,
And then they, the part,
Bennett and Speedy dump it to it too, but they're,
Right.
they'll bring you the thing put out there, but every time they come and get that,
charge you.
there's charge for that per ton
And cardboard fluctuates market wise. It's crazy how it can jump 100%, down 100%. It's the market on cardboard for recycling it varies a ton.
No pun.
But every
No
time,
pun, yeah,
No
it's sold by the
but
time.
every time
They can
they,
go from $35 a ton to over $100 a ton.
every time they don't put that stuff into the landfill and
Yeah.
get it reused is a huge benefit, so,
or somebody ain't standing on their backyard burning it.
right.
Yeah,
That's another problem, you know what I mean?
Do you suppose this could be answered by further research? But you said there's nothing answered in the past.
I wonder,
No, we can go back through the original and start looking at it and see how they come up with it.
this is the original
she's
minutes.
already looked through it and there's really no,
I think they just
It's
took an
not like
arbitrary number
numbers.
and said, here you go, we're done with recycling.
Right.
yeah,
And it's never.
And I think it's-
I think she has, I think she already has.
What?
Did you reach out with Peggy and ask her?
No, I have not.
Oh, you haven't, okay.
I think it
Well,
just
I
looks
was
like
sick last week, so,
came up with an arbitrary number, we have to do something and.
December 9th or 8th of 97.
97.
Wow.
And see, I wonder if it's based upon your community betterment dollars, possibly.
I don't know,
What's that?
Like,
I'll ask. I've
Like
had that.
lost funds that come in, the local option sales tax monies. They go either towards secondary roads lost, or they go towards community betterment funds, which is, there's a lot of things that goes into, like you're showing the pools and stuff.
Libraries.
Libraries.
Janet said, mentioned something about that. I've learned a lot the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things.
But I wanted to bring it to the attention of the supervisors and maybe have you look into it. I know I was not expecting something.
Yeah, but
This bears looking into to see if there's anything that.
It looks like it's based upon that, but how they decided how much money is beyond me.
There's not much of an explanation, I take it.
No. No, and it looks like originally it was with Bennett. The contract.
well, didn't he used to have the
garbage.
recycling in Humboldt too?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure he did.
We'll
So
do some investigating and see if we can
Come up with anything
something.
at all.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Billy.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
okay, moving back up, we're about 5 minutes late. Mark,
I sent a letter to everybody. Problem that we've had. Got a list of what we took the last time. The last, we were in there. Took $90,000 of stuff. That was 3 months ago. We're still. We haven't talked to anybody. Somebody dropped their wallet when they were stealing it.
Oh,
And they tore off a bumper and we've still got no. So I gotta spend $90,000 to. Replace what was there.
Where's this taken from? Of the farm?
Right, I know, but they came in through the fields at night. And it was somebody that was familiar with stuff because they shut off the security system.
no, that was my next question. If you had something. And they shut it
Turned it off and then they hauled the stuff back out through Delvin's farm, hauled 1.5 miles out to the Rutland Blacktop Road. So they didn't come up and down my lane. Would have been no good to have cameras down there. Anyway. Your sheriff's department is overworked right now with all the stuff going on. Is there any way you could temporarily bring more help on, so you could have a full-time person doing nothing but this? I had 400 gallons of diesel sold at Renwick Farm. Last fall, which at $5, that's 2,000. They took 5 of my pumps at the corner out here. They cost me $1,250 a piece. They sold one at a time. They took 5 of them, they took my death pump. And then they took 250 gallons of diesel fuel and 200 another time.
That's a fairly busy area too, I would think.
Yeah,
Well, if they're wearing stocking caps and COVID masks, so
So it's hard to identify them even if you do get them.
one of them got caught cutting the locks on that blue shed out there. And the Humboldt police chased him down around Highway a couple times, and then he drove down Taft, down to the dam, then north to MS Trucking. He finally jumped in the field at the Johnsons, and the city police kept him in the field, and he drove through a fence. And it tore off his license plate. It was his. Then he's driving through cornfields at 50 miles an hour, standing corn. He drove into the dredge ditch up there, and there's blood all over the steering wheel and the dash. And his son came walking out of the thing about 4 a.m, blamed his father. Then the county attorney here dismissed it because he couldn't get witnesses. What Iowa code says, if you attempted burglary, just as well did it. Same crime. Anyway, I need some help.
I think we need to have a talk with Dean and see what his take is on it, how busy is he and what's going on with that department. So we need more help with.
The area prosecution in Des Moines will help. We contacted them. I got a meeting coming up with them, and they'll come in and help. And they'll foot the bill.
And what was that again?
It's called area prosecution. It's out of the Attorney General's office. I'm not the only one. There's
Oh, I'm
still
sure.
everywhere. And whoever did this probably wanted to spite me because he left all my tractor. I have 8 tractors, left all the tractor doors open and the keys on it. So when I get up here, my batteries are off.
Oh, bad.
But he took your chargers.
Took 2 they knew where the chargers were. They
Well,
had-
that's what I'm saying.
they had to
Turned all
charge-
the stuff on and then took your chargers just to.
Charge them up.
Then they got stuck in the skid loader. And I tried to push it out with that new John Deere little loader tractor I got and crushed the back of the skid loader in. That was about $4,000 to fix all that. You know, both.
Yeah, it looks like they were up in the yard for quite a while, just by the list.
Tracks everywhere, but not down the lane.
Not down the
They
lane.
stayed back in the facilities.
Mhm.
Then they went in the house. And somebody tried to take spinning wheel apart. Slam there in pieces. And they flipped my mattresses over. They were upstairs in the bedrooms, flipping it. And that's first
Yeah,
Yeah,
sick shit. I mean, they're letting too many of them back on the street.
I think that's a lot of it. There's no consequences for your crimes anymore these days.
The person we thought did it had worked for me. And he's been in trouble 3 times since he quit. I wouldn't let his girlfriends ride the tractors with him. Said he got angry at me and he said he'd outgrown the job and left. And then January 9th, he sent me an email, wanted his job back, said he could start in the morning. And my thoughts were he was trying to cover up him being in there because of they track the phones, even if the phone is not being used. If it's on, it's tracked. NSA knows where, you know, I'm sitting here, they know I'm sitting here with my phone on.
well, all we can do is talk with Dean. I mean, I've read your email that you sent us, and I also read the paper version of what the Humboldt paper printed.
And if you look at our budget, our law enforcement part of our budget has gone up like 30-some% already in the last 2 years.
If we put them away longer, they'd go down.
Right.
Um,
I don't think you have anybody in the county that would disagree with you. Probably in the country, not only in the county.
Might wanna put some more security cameras up and not tell anybody where they're at. Kind of hiding. so
They
can see,
wear COVID masks and stocking caps,
So they couldn't.
and they
track
use
them out.
stolen vehicles to. They're,
You know, the crazy part is, it sounds like we're talking about Des Moines or
Yeah.
not Humboldt. I know, that's the part that for your children and your grandchildren, it scares the hell out of you.
Yep.
Because if they're out there taking $90,000 worth of tools and whatnot, probably a pretty good chance that they don't have a whole lot of give a rip about what's going on, so.
And I did have a call this last week from somebody else who had something stolen in the county, and they had never had that issue before because it took a lot of work to get the thing stolen. He says usually thieves are fairly lazy. That
they had to be in there more than once to get what they got from me.
Mhm.
And then they came in through the fields, so if I did have cameras on the sheds and the lanes pointing,
Yeah, because that's typically where you'd have them.
yeah, they came through the fields and they got stuck repeatedly out there. So they came in at night during a snowstorm.
Well, we're gonna have a chat with our county attorney too and see if we can.
I'm not sure he's much of a tiger. I think you got an Alvin Bragg running the county attorney's office here. Way too many people walking, he's pleading out.
I think that's a lot of the problems these days. Like you said, there's no consequences for your crimes.
Well, if he's overworked, then we need to do something about it. The state will come in and help.
Well, we went 2 years with COVID and hardly any court was held anywhere. And now the backlog of trying to get caught up, and so I don't know whether they're pleading stuff out so that they just can move stuff forward, or? I talked to John on Friday, and John's at a conference this morning, otherwise he would be in, at least in the courthouse. But he's at a conference, so.
Well, I don't know whether they're just overwhelmed or what, you know.
Well, I'm sure the court system is overwhelmed because the crime has gone up a lot. Because you can talk to our sheriff about it. They're busy.
Yeah, but some of this stuff, I mean, you just don't get rid of, a John Deere 5065E loader. I mean,
Well, he did steal that, he
Just wrecked it.
just
put a
wrecked.
long chain over the
Oh,
hydraulics,
all
but he went to back up, he tore the hydraulics off the
right. I
bike.
see,
That's the repair bill of it.
I see.
Same way with the skid loader. He tried to push it out with the John Deere and crushed the back of the radiator and stuff in.
Oh.
But one of the thieves dropped his wallet. I'm not gonna say who it is.
I would think that'd be enough to get that man arrested.
Yeah.
And has he been arrested?
They haven't done it. And it tore the bumper on the pickup that they pulled it out through the fields. Whoever did it knew that the fence in the corner of the field was missing. It's about 50 feet. Well, I've been dumping rocks and fence posts in there. Well, they went to drive through with snow in there and it tore their bumper off. And Kenny Borland's got the bumper. So all they have to do is match that up. You know, where it tore it off.
Yeah,
Well, let us talk with Dean and John and see if we can come up with a solution on getting some of this stuff, because I don't think you're the only one that's been hit here lately, but we need to do something with it.
Somebody said that Nielsen's lost a tractor over the last week too.
I didn't hear that, but I know they have lost stuff in the past.
Yeah, Tony said they sold a couple of gators from them, some lawn tractors. And
I know up in Laverne, they had an incident too, where they come in and stole 2 lawnmowers that were probably $10,000 lawnmowers. Last winter. Or last fall. So,
So I've had contractors lose trailers, and job trailers that they just hook up and go.
all, what Kenny says is they'll do is they'll go to another county like Polk and claim that they have a homemade trailer. And they'll pull a whole new license on it and it's gone, it's lost.
There's a lot of contractors over the last couple of years that's lost contract trailers, been locked up, they just come in and pull them out.
If they can get around the license.
yeah, the title part,
Right,
they say
title
it's a
part,
homemade
yeah.
Get a
constructed
new
trailer,
title and the new license and
they're free.
anyway,
We'll try, Mark. Visit with Dean and see what his thoughts are, and
Visit with their county attorney too.
See if we
see what we
can come up with an
come up
answer.
with.
the state will help
All right,
with the expense and the, you know, and the labor.
Okay, we'll bring that to his attention.
thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Mark.
you.
Thank you. All right. Got everything cleared down. Committee reports, I guess.
Alrighty, this past week, the one extra meeting that I was going to have was postponed, so no extracurricular meetings last week.
I had, Work County Housing on Wednesday at City Hall. That's the one I attended this last week.
I did Udmo finance meeting Tuesday over the phone. Then on Wednesday, went over here to the conservation board meeting, with the engineers that they came and gave a proposal or overview of what the dam renovation could entail. I guess the numbers were similar to what that group had mentioned of 3 to 3.5 million for repurposing the dam, then later on doing some type of silt control or dredging, which would be an ongoing cost. But anyway, I guess there was pretty much standing room only at the meeting. The majority of, I would say, and there was no poll, but the group that was there was probably 30 people, plus the 5 board members for the conservation, several of the city people, and Dave and I were there. And I would guess that the majority of the people were they're hoping that the dam can be saved. I think that it's a given that this is my own personal opinion. I think that the conservation board is leaning towards trying to figure out a way to get rid of it. But either way, I don't think we have $2.5 to $3.5 million to do whatever we got to do.
Well, even with the new legislation that's going through the state house, they won't even allow us to tax to do it. If we wanted to do it, it can't physically be done. The only thing you really have ability to do is a public safety. Without going to a bond, which has to be approved by the voters. That's the only option available out there.
And the one, was it, Stantec was the name of the company that
Yeah.
did the first study. Their quote for removing the dam was, and I don't remember exactly, I'm just going by what the comments were, it was like $2.5 to $3.5 million, somewhere in that ballpark to remove the dam. And one of the board members said that he reached out to PSI in Rhinebeck and got a quote for 900,000. And that kind of caught everybody off guard that 900,000 would be that much cheaper than the 2.5 million that Stantec.
I'd like to see the bid for,
I guess.
Sure. Yeah, it's not a bid, it was,
well.
yeah.
But then the flip side is then would we be like Fort Dodge?
That's what.
Fort Dodge
They
is
tear it out.
tore all theirs out, and now they're down there putting all these rock dams in to hold the water because they're fishing. And so I don't have a clue. I mean, it hasn't been addressed for 50 years. Whether this board or whether it was the conservation board, but someone hasn't done anything to that dam since it blew out in the 60s. And I guess we aren't gonna fix this in 6 months or so. We keep banging our heads and getting mad at each other and arguing and back and forth and hoping that someone wins the lottery and they'll say, yeah, I'll give you 6 million. By the way, I didn't win the lottery ticket, so I can't be the
Can't
one.
do it.
I didn't buy any, so I don't think I'm gonna win.
Is that it, Bruce?
That's it.
Okay, on Tuesday, the 18th, I went out here to Lake Township, section 31. Got 2 washouts right on top of the tiles, looks like to me. Then on Wednesday, the 19th, I had the Humboldt County Housing meeting. Then at 6 o'clock, I went down to the county conservation to listen to the dam meeting down there. That's all I had.
Okay.
And each one of you had that damn literature on your email from, that was forwarded by the engineers. so.
I stopped up and picked up a paper copy from it. Cause I know they couldn't attend the meeting, so I read through that.
What did we give the monument for the veterans up on the hill? Any money or budget any money for it? So,
You talking up there on
yeah. up-
169.
up Worthington Park. I was asked and I said, I can't remember. Can't do it.
I don't remember that we allocated, that I could recall, that we allocated anything towards them. Have they got any numbers that they've raised, or are they still?
They're still going through it, but they don't know what the cost of the bricks are gonna be. And it sounds like they've got to raise like 150,000 up front before they can even start on it. According to one of the committee members. So.
Maybe they should put that in whether have Kent or somebody do some type of article as a contact for, because after they came up here, I don't even know. Are they the ones that you reach out to?
Yeah, they're the committee. Heads of the committee that's doing it.
All right,
I've had some stories in the magazine and Facebook about it.
Yeah,
all right.
Let's do to get a hold of donate. And they're getting some donation.
said they're
Good.
coming in awful slow, but they gotta raise so much money.
To start.
But the city's got a thing that they gotta raise so much money before they can start on it.
Well, I'm sure it is.
Okay,
Is there
anything
anything
else?
else, Trish, that you have? Otherwise, I'd make a motion to adjourn if we're done.
You don't have anything?
You good? Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. We are adjourned at 9:43.